Hi, my name is Ilan Rubin. I'm here at Reverb in Chicago. I often get asked about what I do to warm up, and aside from the typical singles, doubles, paradiddles, and whatever that is, I like to mix and match a few things. But really, I think what's important is being able to take those things from the pad and adapt them to the drum set. So, let's start with paradiddles. Very simple exercise that everybody knows. I'm just going to cycle from single to double to triple paradiddles. It's pretty boring, accenting on the one, and here we go. So, sounds like this. You've heard them, and if somebody at Reverb can provide you with a nice little graphic of a transcription of what paradiddles are, just in case you don't know, I'm sure there's someone on payroll here who can do that. Single paradiddles, obviously right, left, left, left. When you say double, triple paradiddles, you are adding an extra right, left, or left, right before the diddle, which is the 2 strokes per hand. Okay, so now that we're all up to speed, I'll play that one more time, a little bit faster. So I do that on a pad over and over again. And you can also go from single, double, triple, back, double, single, or you can just start at the top again. I usually start at the top. So, is what it is. But when you move it to the drum set, you get the opportunity to make it sound more musical and actually use it for something, okay? And what's great about accenting anything in a rudiment is that it's very easy to move that accent to a tom, okay? So, the accents, with my right hand, I'll be hitting on the floor tom. Accents with the left hand, I'll be hitting on the tom up here. So that would sound something like this. Sounds good. And I should also mention that, especially with these paradiddles, rather than moving to toms for the accents, you can enhance the accents by using a bass drum note. So it would go like this. You can also mix and match the two, accent on the toms with a bass drum note beneath it. So. Okay, so now that we've gone past the basics of single, double, triple paradiddles, what I love to do are something called paradiddles. And as ridiculous as that sounds, because it feels ridiculous to say, what that means is you're adding another diddle with the opposite hand immediately after the first one. So right, left, 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 okay? It's the stupidest thing. I don't know who came up with the terminology, but it's been passed down from drummer to drummer, and we all feel stupid saying it. So, paradiddle diddle. Now, the great thing about paradiddles is that they force you to build up both your right and left hands because they force you to transition right, left, left, okay? The thing I like about paradiddle diddles is that they keep cycling and you remain leading with the same hand you start with. So if I'm starting a paradiddle diddle with my right, I'm going to start with my right again because it just keeps going back. So the limitation there is that you don't change to the left hand or whatever the opposite, your weaker riding hand is, unless you insert a paradiddle. So without getting too tedious with all these things at once, let's focus on just the paradiddle diddle. And I'm going to keep doing it over and over and over again, keeping time on the hi-hat as I always do. So it sounds like this. Very fun to do. Do it with your weaker hand as well. What I love about this one is that because you kind of have that rhythm of the accents. To me, it sounds more musical. So what I'm going to do to give it more of a rhythm that kind of clocks in over a bar or a couple bars is I'm going to insert paradiddles after doing the paradiddle diddle 4 times. And here's what I mean by that, because it'll be clear by me playing it as opposed to saying these ridiculous terms. So 4 paradiddle diddles, and then I'm going to do 2 paradiddles, and it's still going to cycle around to my right hand, but here's what I mean. I love doing that. I will play that on a pad for 5 minutes at some point warming up before going on stage. But that sounds extra good when you apply it to the drums. So all those accents I'm going to do on the floor tom. Sounds something like this. Do a little faster. And as I said with the paradiddles, you can also just do the accents on the bass drum, mix and match. But I love supporting an accent on the snare drum with the bass drum, and that sounds something like this. There's just something magical about a rim shot and a bass drum under it. So the problem we have here is that we don't seamlessly transition into leading with the opposite hand. And that's where the triple paradiddle will come in. A lot of marching exercises will end with a paradiddle because, as I said, it forces you to then alternate to the opposite sticking. So rather than doing paradiddle, paradiddle at the end, I'm going to do 1 triple paradiddle. And because I'm ending on my right, it forces me to then start everything over with my left side. So here's what I mean by that. By adding a triple paradiddle there, I then have to restart the entire exercise accenting with my left hand. So one more time, that would be this. And then I'll do the whole exercise again. So. So now I will accent on the tom the same way I was accenting on the floor tom, and that's something like this. I love doing stuff like that because it just really allows you to open up, especially if you want to do some kind of Buddy Rich or Joe Morello-esque soloing. A lot of it is rudiments based, which I think is a great way of learning those things and applying them in actual fun ways to play on a drum set, as opposed to keeping them on a pad or a snare drum. So one more time, I'll play that. Perhaps I will throw in some bass drum action, stick to the snare. I'm just going to make this up as I go, and we'll see what happens. So as you can see, same sticking. Sometimes I accented on the snare as opposed to the tom. Sometimes I added bass drum, sometimes I didn't. But that really is how all of this stuff becomes interesting. You try different things, you omit notes, you add notes, you accent with different drums, adding bass drums, rim shots. That to me is a great way of applying rudiments to the drum set. By all means, experiment, mix up the 2 things, the paradiddles with the paradiddle diddles. And remember, the paradiddle is the best way to alternate your sticking without having to stop. So hopefully that was demonstrated for you, and good luck with it.